I'm gonna do the entire thing with just this over my face, so you can just see my my mouth.
No, people only click on to see your face. We need to see it. Welcome, everybody, to the Glaziar Gamble Podcast, back with another episode of Agatha All Along, review, breakdown, whatever you want to call these things. I'm just going to throw it out there right away. This is why you're here. This was the best episode, in my opinion, yet of this show. It was incredibly good for a few reasons. However,
according to fans, it's the second best Marvel TV episode of all time.
Behind the Loki season 2 finale.
Yes.
Yeah. So, again, that tracks. This, I don't think it was as good as the first episode of WandaVision or last episode of WandaVision or whatever.
Yeah.
But, people are
there's
loving
a couple
this
one
show.
You could definitely argue for sure. Yeah.
There's been a large support of this show just because it is a very accepting show. It's very friendly to LGBTQ, all that. So it is very well liked. So it doesn't surprise me reviews are good for it. However, this episode was super good, and while we have talked very glowingly of Joe Locke every episode we've talked about him, this episode it was nice to get a slight reprieve and give light to some other characters that deserved it. Similar to even when Alice got her own episode, right? Alice was the Blood Witch, right?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Even when she got her own episode, it didn't seem to focus solely on her or strong on her as it did with Lilia.
Yeah. That's this one. Jennifer is the other one. Yeah.
This one seemed like really Lilia focused.
Sure.
And I thought I don't know. It was just really well done overall, breaking down her past, her present, her role in what we're watching as viewers, this show, right. Agatha,
and just connecting all of the other episodes to this point.
Absolutely, yeah. I thought brilliant. It was something we desperately needed, in something that it felt like the show was pulling us away. Every episode felt like we were instead of tying up a loose end, we were just fraying and creating a whole bunch of new ones. It
seemed like we were going away from the Coven and going more to just Agatha and Wiccan.
It did. It felt like
it was like, all right, so it's just these two now. Okay.
And then this episode gonna be these two. Pulled us back in and gave us some desperate closure that the show needed. And I kind of think that's a big reason why so many people liked this episode. It's a big reason why I liked this episode. But sure. I do think a lot of people liked this episode because closure is nice and closure feels good. It makes you feel nice and warm. And I think a lot of people watched this and were like, yeah, I needed that. Not to mention the acting in the show, again, killing it. The story writing doing really well. And it was really interesting. I think so. Tarot is something that is a lot of people have picked up recently. It's seen like a boom. Tarot card businesses are selling better. Sure. Tarot readings are just becoming more popular. They were able to create, while tarot's been around forever, it's been around for a long, long time.
Right.
It's something that brings in a popular interest that a lot of people can relate to, but it's also
it's very subjective. The cards have different meanings, but it's also how the person giving the reading interprets it, as well as the person receiving the reading interprets it, which I think is really cool. Cause I've even with my ex-girlfriend, she would see random videos of tarot readings and she would show them. And I'd be like, this is really this goes on with what you're dealing with in your life, which is really weird. Cause it's just some random video that shows up out of the blue. So,
not so shameless promotion here. My wife her podcast is called Spiritually Inspired, way more successful than this one.
We'll have a link in the description for that.
We could always do a link. She had she had 400,000 impressions by the second week of October. She is at over 1 million minutes listened to. She's doing really well, but one of the things that she does is she does offer tarot card readings to people. And she spoke at a symposium the other day. It was like a pagan con type thing.
Pagan or pegging?
Pegging con is what we do. Pagan con is what she was at.
Got it.
And it was something similar to that. But anyway, she spoke in front of a few hundred people. And afterwards, she did like a secondary thing with a smaller group. And she gave a 1-card reading for free to every person in the room. That's why she was there for a half hour longer than expected.
Sure.
But like, my wife is somebody, again, we've mentioned that she is interested in this show, and I told her this whole episode was about tarot cards, or like not about tarot cards, but had them in it. And
right.
Again, it just relates to a lot of people. Feel free to check my wife out again, Spiritually Inspired. She has her own website, spirituallyinspired.co, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, a lot of tarot readings, again, very cool, very subjective. They reach a lot of different groups. It's kind of like, what is that called? The stars, cosmology,
cosmetology. Yep.
It's, I can't. Why am I blanking on what it's called?
I know, astrology.
Astrology. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, cosmetology.
It's kind of like astrology, where it appeals to people that might not even believe it.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of people that they know their sign, they know what their sign is supposed to mean.
Yeah, typically act like, and they're like, oh yeah, that's me.
A lot of people could go through a tarot card and know kind of create their own meaning for what half of the cards are.
Sure.
And I think they brought that into this episode. I think because they tried with Teen doing the reading for Agatha. They tried doing a reading for Teen. Obviously, eventually they got to the point of it's supposed to be doing
Lilia figured out it's for her. Yeah.
Right. And eventually, like, each one, they still had different meanings and discussions about every card that they pulled. And it was just really, really, really well done, really cool and interesting. The trial felt a lot more death-defying or like scary than every trial before it. Like, it felt like the biggest after the first one. The first one also, when the water was filling up and all that, like,
right, yeah,
that one and this one felt like the most you're gonna die.
Yeah, there's more risk to it.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
But
there's a time frame. There's like a time frame on both of those. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's like a time is timed, I guess. So
right. Yeah. And they made it a lot more apparent about that time. Like, it was like very obvious when you lose, as opposed to like Agatha getting possessed by her mom or like having to sing the song.
Yeah.
We didn't really know when did it determine when you lost, when everybody got burned by the curse, when we just didn't know. This one, it was like, oh, you're going to die because you're all going to get impaled by swords if you don't do this. But I will say my favorite part of this episode, we haven't known what has been going on. Is she possessed? Is Lilia possessed? Is she communing with ghosts? Like, why?
Right, the random shout outs and stuff. Random shouting out.
Randomly screaming. Yeah. Why does she seem to not understand where she is? What were we just talking about? And she says it's because the circle or the passing of time is an illusion, and that she actually lives time throughout, like, in different spurts of her life.
So
like,
she'll live in the past, she'll live in the present, she'll live in the future. For those little blips. And yeah, it all kind of came together this episode, which I think was super well done. Yeah. Super well done. And for them to even think about having her just shout out a random phrase and then linking all of those phrases up in this episode was super cool. It was brilliant.
It was awesome. And I love when you have like I wonder if this is what's happening. Callbacks. And like, oh, I wonder if she's actually communing, or I wonder if what's going on, and then what they end up doing as a writer, what the show actually presents to you.
I think Jack Schaefer, is that the one that's kind of headlining everything?
I think so. Yeah. What they actually present is nothing that I never would have thought that that's where they went with it. It was such a cool way to take it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was, and the woman that was her like coven teacher, the one like she was very aware of what was going on. Like when she showed up in her childhood body, and she was like,
Right.
"I see you're visiting again."
Right.
Like it was just so cool to see the different people in her life that have known about this, that how they've like taken it to her. And it makes me wonder, like, now that she has died, which I don't like, it was interesting to me that she still had to die, but
Sure.
um,
Sure.
because
But
it's
she always thought she was going to die. And then she didn't know when she was going to die, and then now she realized that like, okay, this is the moment. This is
yeah,
the moment where I have to do this or else other people will die. And so she ended up, sacrificing herself
hmm
for her people.
and a lot
So
of the
yeah.
time when a show or a movie does a bunch of different times that eventually are supposed to meet in one spot, it gets really confusing, or eventually you feel lost at some point. Not once during this did I feel lost, which was
Right,
nice.
because you are almost lost with her.
Right.
And then eventually once it like snaps all together, she realizes it, which makes you realize it.
hmm
And so yeah, I just thought that was really well done.
Yeah.
Um, then I think that's one reason why the episode is so like loved by the fans so far, is because it's like all of this was super unique and never been done before, and they just nailed it.
hmm
They nailed it. So
And we talked about how they've tied up loose ends. They've like tied up some things. Not even just with her or the overarching story did they tie up. They gave us some things that we had like small questions about, like what's going to happen now. Who has Wiccan's book? Well, Wiccan's got his book
she
back.
found it. Right. Yeah.
Um, we got the where are the seven? Are they actually there, or is this
They're
Wiccan
still
creating
are they
this
still
reality?
chasing? Yeah, are
Are
they
they
still chasing after the Alice's trial? Yeah.
which they are or were, or I'm not sure if they all have technically
I think they all did. Yeah.
they all died
It-
too.
I think so, because I think someone was like, I think I saw someone say only 5 fell, and I was like, and then someone's like, no, just watch it again, like all 7. You see all 7 bodies go.
So
So
then we potentially have all 7 of them taken care of.
there's really no point for them to come back, though.
I agree.
Like, there's no point for 2 to survive. You know what I mean? Like,
hmm
there's no need for that. So
And then the
yeah,
last thing that was like tied up or whatever is now everyone knows Rio is death.
right.
Like we actually
Yeah.
know it was Lilia told
I
everyone like
mean,
Rio's
we
death.
knew in episode 1 once we saw the Funko Pop online, but I mean, it is what it is.
Right. But it was
Nah, she looks
revealed
sick. She looks
when
sick.
they showed her in the makeup with like the skull.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the hat, like her eyes are normal, but then like her jaw is like bony, like,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah, all right, she looks ripped.
Was very, very it was a very cool like little reveal, a showing. It was they tied that up and they did it again. They put us on a clear direction. All those like different ways they were pulling you, they pushed you back into like where you need to be, telling you which direction we're going. All in this like one episode. It was really like a experience for a viewer. It was like
Sure.
you experienced it this whole episode. It was really awesome, like really cool. And then they opened another door where Wiccan tells Agatha, I'm not even sure I'm not even sure you've been on the road before. Like now
Yeah.
I don't even believe you. And before they said this and had the discussion, I'm like, especially with her facial expression, I'm like, did she actually?
Yeah,
Did she
yeah,
ever
but
be on
I
was she
don't
ever on
like
the
all the
road?
other signs point to that she still did.
Right.
Like them go like Lilia going Rio is death. And then they look at Agatha and she's like, what can I say? I like the bad boys.
Yeah.
And then like her still saying like who like the first time you were on the road, who else survived? And she said there's one other
hmm
that survived. So
And but she had to like sit and think before she answered it.
yeah.
So it's like, were you trying to make up an answer, or It also seems like a rumor that Agatha would 100% spread is like, oh, she's the only witch known to have completed the road.
Right.
Like, it makes me wonder, like, is that the sort of rumor Agatha would spread to make herself seem more powerful than she actually is? It's totally believable. I still think she did, but it is 100% believable, and this is probably the point
obviously
of the
something
writers.
happened.
They planted that seed of doubt.
Something happened with Lady Death. Like something happened with Rio that first time, and that's what they're not explaining.
Right.
So like, did she like sacrifice Rio, and then Rio became Lady Death? Like, that's what they're not explaining, and I think we'll get that answer. I think it'll take us back to the first time she was on the road and what happened. I think that's what I think.
So now it's Jennifer, Wiccan, Agatha, and Rio. They're down to 4.
Rio's somewhere out there. Yeah. Rio's somewhere out there. Nobody knows where.
And is this 8 or 9 episodes it's supposed to be?
It'll be 9, and so there's 2 more.
Yeah.
So it'll be 8 next week, and then the finale.
So are they going to drop down to 3 next week? Is Jennifer going to be leaving us?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to come down to 3 at the end.
Because we talked about it, it's like it's going to be. Is it going to be Teen choosing between Rio and Agatha? Is it going to be Agatha choosing between Rio and Teen?
Yeah.
I'm not sure Rio can die.
Yeah, I don't know if she's either.
Death.
Yeah. She's an embodiment of death, yeah.
She should, in theory, just be like, yeah, everybody keep dying because I'm just taking your souls.
And she should be one of the strongest people in the entire MCU. Like,
right. I mean, she should be on a tier of like a god.
Yeah, because people were talking about who wins, and it was Rio versus Hela, and I was like, I don't think she can die.
Right, I'm pretty sure Hela could just stab her. And
Hela would just shoot something through her, and she would laugh probably. So
right, the Hela can actually be killed by something where, in theory, death is just some impartial
embodiment of an idea.
Yeah, like. It's kind of like Hades is often portrayed as evil, but it's like Hades is just taking your souls into the underworld and managing them. He's not.
Yeah.
He kills bad guys just as much as he kills a good guy. Death, in theory, like took Mrs. Hart. Mrs. Hart wasn't evil, but is also going to be would probably be willing to take, Thanos' soul.
Right.
So.
Well, she wouldn't take Thanos. That's why the Infinity Saga happened in the first place. So.
Right. If that would have been a cool story.
And like Thanos, I get it.
Oh my god, yeah, Thanos.
I get it. You don't have to explain yourself to me. You were right, buddy. I would have done that too.
I would have. Yeah, I would have. You know what? You want me to snap half the existence? I'll snap them all for you. All for you. God, man, yeah. If Lady Death is equivalent to Hades, I will gladly be the equivalent of Persephone in this one. I'll take that role. It's okay. No, I'll fall on that sword for everyone else. Actually, my wife would probably fall on that on sword before I could.
Fight you for it.
Oh God, this episode was something that I will be demanding that my wife start watching this show before the finale comes out. If you haven't seen the show, if you're watching this, because we found out from unhappy comments in previous episodes, people are watching our episodes or clicking on our episodes before watching the show. Interesting, but hey, you're here. If you're watching this, listening to this portion, and you haven't started seeing the show, even if you've gotten things spoiled, start watching it now, and by the time these last 2 episodes come out, it's going to be so worth it. I like this show. This is probably my second favorite show on Disney Plus that I've seen.
Sure.
Loki was my favorite just because the character, as well as Tom Hiddleston, is like, I'll fall on the sword for Tom Hiddleston before Aubrey Plaza even. Like,
you'll fall on his sword.
Oh yeah.
Wait.
I
have to go back and watch. They've done a lot of brilliant things with their shows.
Yes.
Outside of like Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
That's the only one where it's like, what are you doing? Like a little bit. Yeah. And What If you don't have to watch What If.
Canceled the season 3 plans.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I think like Echo was super good. Loki was super good. WandaVision was super good.
Yeah, and the one we're getting next might beat all of them.
Falcon and the Winter Soldier was
So,
really good. And this one has been incredible.
Yeah.
And
And then the
next
one we're
is
getting next
Daredevil.
might beat everyone. Might beat all of them.
Is next
So,
Daredevil?
yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So 13 episodes or whatever. So I think.
And I think with if people are being honest about what they're making demands for on the internet, comments, tweets, everything that I've been seeing is they're sick of a lot of the superhero-ness. They're screaming for street level. They want fights. They want drama. So they want it to be like, that's why Penguin's doing so well. It doesn't feel like a superhero show. It's good acting, good writing, and it's like has a little bit of superhero feel, but it's really more about the drama and whatever. If that's truly what people are asking for, Daredevil should break every
it's
streaming record for Disney Plus.
It's one of Netflix's best and highest rated products ever. So the fact that all those Netflix people that love the show will probably be tuning into this just to see the continuation of Matt Murdock.
And a lot of people that weren't big on the movies still watched things like Luke Cage, Jessica Jones. And I think a lot of those people that were only slightly interested in the MCU that were watching those products also come and watch Daredevil.
Yeah. I mean, Frank Castle's in this. So, like, you're getting Punisher.
And I watched another thing with
John Bernthal.
John Bernthal talking about how he prepared for the role of Punisher. And he's so good.
He's devoted, man. Like, he loves that role.
He went. Have you heard what he did with the comic when he went to the comic book store?
No.
Okay, real quick for people, when he was preparing for Punisher, the first thing he did when he got the part, or when he was like preparing to see if he could get the part, he went to a comic book store and grabbed every copy of the Punisher that he could find, if he was even mentioned as being part of it. And he walks up to the register with a stack, like a huge stack of comic books. And the guy behind the register looks at him. He's like, no. And he goes, you want this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. And then he like gets rid of the other ones. And John Bernthal was like, no, whatever. And the guy stops him. He's like, I know who you are. Don't fuck this up. And that's like how he got his introduction into Punisher, was like, this is who the character is supposed to be. Screw these other comics. Do it right and be this. So he bought those comics that the guy told him to be. He read those comics and prepared for that version, knowing that that's what the fans want, is this Punisher. And that's what he delivered.
God, I mean, it's just, he did so good with it. Like, and I know that he was supposed to come back in Daredevil Born Again. And then it went through like 2 rounds of rewrites, and he wanted to get out of it. But then finally, this latest script or whatever the final script or whatever, he's like, never mind. This is what I've been waiting for. It was like, this is the kind of Frank Castle that we need in this, because the other 2 writers prior weren't giving
the Frank Castle we need, the Frank Castle we deserve.
Yeah, honestly, like
we're on a little bit of a tangent, but when we end up getting on tangents talking about what we like, it's probably because what we were originally talking about is something that was already making us excited.
Right.
And when we were talking about Agatha, everything we have said so far has been positive. And a lot of times we've had some things to pick apart in every episode of Agatha. We've had stuff we liked, have stuff we disliked. For the most part, we've had only positive things today, but we have had negative things. This episode didn't really have a ton of flaws for me.
Right. No, maybe not for me either.
Like, it just, I think we almost didn't even need if I'm gonna nitpick, we probably didn't even need the original point of Teen and Agatha trying to figure out the tarot, but that was still kind of necessary. So, and again, like we mentioned earlier, it helps connect tarot with the general population.
Sure.
So even if I'm nitpicking, it's hard to find faults in this episode.
Yeah. No, it rock solid episode. I think just going back to what you mentioned a little bit ago, or a lot of bit ago, I don't even know how long we said that. You said that just the popularity of the show in general, a lot of people at the start of Agatha, and the first episode, first two episodes released, right? So the first two episodes,
right?
And people, all the Marvel fans were like, we didn't want this. We like, why are we still doing this? Like, no one wants to see a bunch of like women or queer women, or just in general, like people were dogging on it. And then after the third episode came out, the report came out on the viewability or the viewing of this, and it's like the second biggest first 3 episodes in Marvel TV history. And then everyone started switching up, like, but I thought you guys said that we didn't want this and it wasn't popular.
Yeah.
And people didn't like it. And it's like, no, man, like people, and whether you are a Marvel fan or not, like the Marvel fans, like people are starving for Marvel content, but it has to be done right. And if it is done right, people will eat it up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we're at.
I can think I'm sure in the beginning there was a small percentage of those people were hate watching because of what they had heard about it and how this was the gayest Marvel show ever. And then I think after that, even the people that started out hate watching were like, oh, wait, I'm going to keep watching it because I enjoy it. And then there were some people that probably dropped off.
This sucks so bad as they just keep watching it over and over again.
This is so bad.
Did you see episode 7? It's so bad. Like, yeah. Are you going to watch episode 8 tonight because it's just so bad you have to watch it?
You want to come watch it with me because it's so bad? We'll like come over and make a night of it, and like we'll get like candy and popcorn because it's so bad. We'll treat it like it's so good.
That's honestly it. So,
I don't have like anything else to say about it. It is so good. I want everybody to see it.
And here's what so people are saying that, or whoever's seen the episodes are saying that episode 7's the best, then episode 9, then episode 8. So like these ones are just right up there with this one. So very excited for the future of the show and what it leads to. And I thought another fun fact was where they were like, is my mom dead? And Agatha goes, yes, no, maybe, like you know.
Right, when she initially said yes, bit. I was like, oh. And then she was like, no,
dead.
maybe. And I was like, oh, God. Okay, thanks. Yeah. Thanks, Marvel.
Yeah.
Screw you. Because we all know she's still alive. You wouldn't have shown that little flash of red. It wasn't the red getting snuffed out. It was her creating a cocoon or something.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
yes. No.
Rio would know the answer to that question.
Yeah, maybe he'll get to ask Rio when she shows up again.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure she'll be in both of the last 2 episodes.
Yeah, I think so too.
They don't have enough characters left to not show
Fill it in with 3, yeah.
Because, I mean, now that Jennifer knows who she is, I'm sure that's going to be an early question in the next episode. Is like, you knew Rio was death. What the hell? Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's going to be a big part of the next episode.
Right.
God, I'm halfway there.
Yeah, I was gonna say you break for this. Yeah.
Let us know
Yellow Brick Road. That's what I'm like. You're like Yellow Brick Road.
Yeah, I'm yellow bricked up road. Jesus.
Yeah, brother.
This is the content you clicked this video for. Let us know what you think about this show. Have you thought do you agree was the second best episode of a Marvel show ever? Do you think this is a top Marvel show yet? Do you think Marvel's back now? Or is Marvel still dead to you? That's really it.
Because you're saying it's dead, but it is in fact back. So.
You're saying it's dead, but really it's death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's Jones.
Okay. Let us know what you think. You all look great today. G.
God, kiss me. Stop recording in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Don't wanna sleep in, cause I got something to prove. I gotta take what I hate and finally make a move. I think of you and all the shit you don't do. Well, I'ma make hella sure that I don't become you. Have no regrets, yeah, I'm tired of my chest. I'll never